Here's another VK2001 match on Serene Coast with French Army in the B1 and Red Nerd in the T80. This is a Tier 6 match, obviously. The enemy Hellcat, their best player, is quite good, legitimately quite good. The rest of their team is fairly bad, but the rest of our team is also garbage. Now, as bottom tier in this thing, and on quite a large and fairly open map, I was kind of not entirely sure where to go. So I sort of started heading in the general direction I normally go, over towards the west side of the map. And then I realized, hey, this thing's really small, right? There's some bushes in the middle of the map. Maybe I can hide it in one and do some passive scouting. So after a brief moment of hesitation, that's what I made happen. So I actually did some comparing to the Panzer III just to check my theories from the last video. It does actually have worse frontal armor, but it angles better. It has slightly, well, actually it has a worse top speed, so it's slower by, I think, like 14 kilometers an hour or something. The Panzer III is a lot faster than I remember it being, basically. But it has the same general mobility. I think its traverse rate is a little lower, but its ground resistance and all those are roughly the same. Similar horsepower per ton. It's not too bad in the mobility department, it's just slightly worse than the Panzer III, which is sort of a recurring thing with this tank. I don't know if I'd say it needs a buff because of that. It seems to play just fine. If anything, it kind of shows that Panzer III is maybe a little overboard. Actually, it may even show a desire by Wargaming, at least at the lower tiers, to try and hold power creep and perhaps back things off a little. So, as you can see here, I wasn't really satisfied just sitting here doing nothing, and these guys aren't paying attention to me, so I decided to get some shots in. The 5cm gun is actually quite good at this tier. So I managed to tag the M3 and the Covenanter a couple times. And then, oh look, KV1. So, get ready for him. I'm not likely to pen him without gold, so I'd switch to that. And my third shot here sets him on fire. The magic of fuel tanks. Of course, he had no extinguisher. And the enemy Hellcat, their best player, gets mopped by tier 4s and murdered. Well, tier 4s and tier 5s. Bad tier 5s. So I come up to the middle here. I decide I'm going to push in a bit. Feeling a bit brave, but not brave enough to just drive straight across the middle. That'd be a bit foolhardy. So I duck down into the trench here to use cover as I cross, and then I head up this way with Ren in tow. And oh look what I found, a VK3001H. Now, I actually have that shot arc into his lower plate, but I switched to gold anyway, just because I am facing a tier 5 heavy tank. Bounces a shot off my gun mantlet. The Panzer III turret is actually really good at tier 4, and will bounce tier 5s. Unfortunately, I sit here for too long and just take too much damage, and I switched back to AP for a shot there. I think because I felt confident I could pen him. So T28, squishy, I don't need APCR for him at all. I've thrown away quite a lot of my hit points by sitting still here, but thankfully I got away with it. So I'm looking for a trick shot here, and I managed to get it. Our own T28 charges straight in and runs into the Sherman. Now, 115 damage, that tells me that Sherman is not using the dirt gun, he's using the 76. So he can't one-shot me, but he can fire quite quickly, and he can kill me in 2 hits now, because my hit points are so low. So I don't want to push him just yet. I spot this little guy, and he doesn't appear to be moving or paying attention, so I fire off a quick snapshot and manage to tag him. M8A ones are quite dangerous, so getting one of them is always a bonus. So there's a couple guys over here. I don't want to get the Churchill's attention, but on the other hand, I would like to get some damage in. He gets hit by RT-49, and those guys all just explode. So it saves me the problem of having to deal with a Churchill, which this thing actually does not have the pen to deal with, even with gold, I don't think. Certainly not from that angle. So Chino crosses over to try and rescue his Sherman buddy. And I have to charge in to try and rescue Ren. And then I crash into a wreck. In my defense, I couldn't see him behind the tree. So I'm trying to work my way around the back of the Chino. Ren's working it down a little, but it inevitably kills him. And I loop around the back and pocket 2 shots. I just get away with that, and that is the match. All done. So 1400 damage in a tier 4 medium tank in a tier 6 game. That's not bad, I don't think, especially on this map. I was quite happy with that game. I think it shows the strengths of this tank. It's not as mobile as the Panzer III, but it's fairly mobile. It has that awesome bouncy turret the Panzer III has. Decent gun, excellent camo, small size. It's just a good all-round tank. You could argue that Panzer III is better, and you'd probably be right, but like I said, it's one of my favourite tanks. So the more Panzer III variants I have, the happier I am. So I got the real Panzer III, I got the planned replacement of it, I've got the Stug. Might have to get some artillery based off of it maybe.